Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I am the Fuzz, and it's been a while. I know, I've been kind of caught in the middle of some things and haven't really felt the inspiration, but I found it again, maybe. Anyways, what I wanted to talk about today is something that's been on my mind, and it's not just for Spellweaver, but it's for several of these games that I've played, notably this and Hearthstone. And that's the idea of one drops. Now here I have a list of one drops, because some of them at least, and I'm gonna tell you guys my difference between bad one drops, the ones that I think are bad for the game, and good one drops. And then later on, I'll basically get to what the hell my point in all this shenanigans is. So why do one drops annoy me? It's because in Spellweaver they are incredibly efficient at beating your face in. In fact, let's just take a simple one. Something as simple as this dude, Goblin Warrior, with his 2 attack, deals as much damage as a turn 4 Library Guards. And because he's only 1 mana, it allows you to very efficiently add to the board. And this makes playing against them really, really lame. So, basically here's the idea. A Goblin Warrior gets played against you. Turn 1, right? And maybe you don't have a 1-drop, so you just pass. Then, on his second turn, that goblin hits you in the face, and then he plays, I don't know, a 2-drop. And then maybe you play a 2-drop. And then they play a fireball or something, and then you take another 4 damage. And then, basically, by the time you catch up, assuming you don't just lose at all, that little goblin that got played on turn 1 dealt an extra 4, maybe even 6 damage to you, which is a lot considering that we only have 20 starting life. So I believe that is wrong. Now, I'm not saying I hate all 1-drops, because in this list that I have here, I have some examples of good 1-drops. So let's go over the bad ones again. This is bad because it does 2 damage and nothing else. This one, super bad because it does 3 damage. This card is so dumb sometimes. You haven't lived until you faced an opener of 3 of these and got beaten down within like 3 turns. It's just ridiculous. The difference it can make with this not getting played on turn 1 and it getting played on turn 1 is just tremendous. And Zombie Legionnaire, everybody's favorite. Again, same thing. It's just a beat stick, nothing else. Now what about some good 1-drops? From Corruption, we've got Vermin. Now, I like this card. Why? Because, yes, it's a 1-drop, but it isn't as aggressive. It only does 1 damage, but it has a purpose. It actually does something. It can, be used to help remove creatures, help you as a combat trick, synergize with Flesh Sculptors. This is a cool 1-drop. What's another cool 1-drop? Charged Aurite. This card also has interesting synergy with the rest of your deck, with all the energy-based shenanigans, basically. And that's really cool. And again, it's a 1/1. If this card, let's face it, this card was a 2/1, it'd be colossally overpowered, but it's not. It's a 1/1. And the last one, Relic Guard. Now this is a purely defensive card. It's a 3-speed, 3-health creature, but it's got 0 attack. It can't attack. And so it's a purely defensive card, but it's fine. I want more cards like this. So we see the difference. Good 1-drops serve a purpose. Bad 1-drops beat face. Now, what is the point of this whole video? Well, my point is, what I believe might help this game, might help alleviate some of my pains, and keep in mind that this may just be me bitching about, aggro, because I always bitch about aggro, is that I think we'd be better off if, instead of starting with 1 mana, you started the game with 2 mana. Now, where did I get this idea? Mostly from Duelist. When I started playing Duelist, the very first thing I noticed is that they start you off with 2 mana instead of 1, and then the second player gets 3 mana. But they still have 1-drops in the game. And they are not terrible. They still see play. So the main difference is, it kind of accelerates the game, because you can just get a 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop right away, and you basically skip that 1-drop phase. And I think that's good, because on turn 1, with 1 mana and 1 aspect, you can only play a 1-drop. That's the only option you have. So you have the fewest options possible, and unless your deck runs 1-drop specifically, and some aspects only have like one 1-drop, like Dominion, if you don't get it, then you don't get to play anything on that turn. It's at turn 2 where you can play a 1-drop or a 2-drop. You have many more choices, and therefore you are much, much more likely to actually be able to play something. So if we started with 2 mana, for instance, there'd be maybe 12 cards in your deck you could play immediately on turn 1, and you wouldn't necessarily fall behind. You would be able to answer the board immediately. Yes, your opponent might still play 2 1-drops, but that's okay because you're immediately responding with a 2-drop. The main difference would be that we're essentially skipping turn 1, right? It's as if I go my turn 1, get a mana, or get an aspect, pass, and then you do the same thing. So the only difference that's going to make is that it's not going to punish the player who didn't get a 1-drop, because don't tell me you haven't had games where you're going, oh crap, he played a Goblin Warrior, I don't have a 1-drop, I'm probably going to lose, and then you subsequently end up losing. Because I've had many of these games, and they're not very much fun. One of the things that makes Rage so lame is that they have 2 of these bastards. They got the Goblin Warrior, and then the stupid Lizard, both of whom do 2 damage for 1 mana. That's just really, really, really lame. So that's essentially the crux of my rant here. I would like to see... Now, I mean, I don't know if this is even possible. If there ever was any way to have, like, an alternate rules tournament, or even, like, a separate mini server or something, where you can try out something like that, I will be the first in line to do that. Because I personally believe it would make the game more interesting. Could I be wrong? Sure. It's entirely possible that it would not help the game at all, but I don't see it right now, and I would love to have my eyes opened by a revelation that I was completely wrong. By the way, this little rant would also extend to Hearthstone, which is a game I think even more would benefit by starting the game with 2 mana and more than 3 cards, right? That's just ridiculous, but we're not going to talk about that. So for Spellweaver, I'd like to see that done. I think with 2 mana, all decks will be able to get off to a good start. Aggro won't rush you down so much. Would that mean aggro will be worse? Not necessarily. A deck like Rage has access to cards like Flame Serpent and Dragonfire. They'll just rely on those to blast you down. I don't know if they would still play Goblin Warrior. Maybe, because you've got the synergy with the Swift Giving Goblin. I forget its name. It's so rarely played. Firebrand Goblin. You drop that guy, you drop Gibbo and Roni and a Goblin Warrior and just whoosh, go to town on the face. Yeah, could still do it. Lizard might not see play, but let's face it. What purpose does Lizard serve other than beating your opponent's face in? None. Exactly. And honestly, Zombie Legionnaire might as well just be a token. It's a great token, but as a card, it's not very interesting, sadly. Hey, Militia was made a token-only card, and that was good. Although, to be fair, that was a completely useless creature, whereas Zombie Legionnaire is not useless. It is 2 damage. Anyways, enough of this. You heard my rant for the day. I'll be back with maybe a more positive video later in the week. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time.